Greetings, YouTube. It is Data Links Magnus once again with a Transformers review. This is the third-party Mastermind Creations reformatted R-48 Optus Pexus Supercop. Basically, IDW Orion Pax or Optimus Prime. Alright, let's have a look at them. So, this particular figure is a third-party representation of Orion Pax as he was presented in the IDW comic book line of the last 10 or so years. So, there's been many different representations of Orion Pax, basically Optimus Prime, before he became Optimus. And I personally believe that the IDW representation was hands down the best. Hands down. It was so spectacular. He had these great stories. There was comic books where he was, shown, and people were having flashbacks about the legendary stuff that he did back during, the time of Cybertron, before the war broke out, before Megatron was Megatron, when functionism was still a thing. And it was well fleshed out. It really showed him as somebody who was trying to do right, who was a cop, found himself, questioning whether he was on the right side of history with the revolution that Megatron was pushing, but yet wanting to have law and order, standing up against shapeism and functionism and all the different things, the types of bigotry that went on Cybertron. Like, it's just so many allegories and so many parallels to honestly what we're dealing with now as human beings. It's a spectacular story, spectacular. If you have not read those comics, the shadow play and all that other stuff, you need to check them out. So let's get into this. Okay, so first off, let's talk about some of the things that we kind of were aware of when this figure was first announced. When they first showed the promo pics, they had him in all types of yoga poses and heavily articulated movements. I mean, this guy was all over the place. He looked like a Spider-Man figure with all the stuff he could do. And people were like, myself included, I was like, okay, if he's going to have that much articulation, he's probably going to look like, gappy and kind of, gangly, and he's not going to look right, because we're used to our Transformers being kind of blocky, and we're kind of okay with that because we know that the thing has to transform into some type of vehicle or something else, and for it to be overly articulated is asking for trouble. But somehow, Mastermind Creations pulled this off. I mean, you're looking at it right now. It's not like I'm doing anything weird with it. It looks like a regular Transformer, a very good Transformer. And it does have an alt mode. It's not like it's some red line or, whatever those things are that don't transform, those expensive figures. This thing actually transforms, but it can do so many poses that it's ridiculous. I would have bought this without all the articulation, but with all the articulation, it's a slam dunk home run. And I'm gonna just tell you right now, spoiler warnings, this is my figure of the year for 2021 so far, because it's that good. I mean, this thing is spot on look wise as far as IDW goes. I've already told you about the articulation. The alt mode is cool. The accessories are great. The color is great. The engineering is off the charts. Honestly, we're gonna have a whole section on the engineering, because the first thought, or one of the first thoughts, would be that it's over engineered, and it's definitely more complicated than your usual Mastermind Creations figure, but somehow they pulled it off. They got the delicate delicate balance between engineering and function. So the first thing I want to do is look at his accessories. So he comes with 2 of these kind of fusion or, ion blasters or whatever. Typical Optimus Prime fare. Cool thing is he gets 2 of them. And these are well done. You fold it out and you get the handle. And they have little slots in different places that allow you to attach it to him without him holding it. So he has 2 of these. Here's one, and then he's holding the other one. Then you also get 2 of the same guns, but in like a gunmetal gray, which I'm not sure if that's just for preference, like if you like your guns to be this color, or if it's that to, completely arm him up, because you can attach these onto his back or shoulders and then have him holding another pair of guns. Very nice. He also comes with a matrix, which has removable handles. The handles can be stored on his robot mode, and when the matrix goes inside his chest, you take the handles off. Which I'm not gonna front. I'm not really a huge fan of that. I would rather this went directly in his chest, but I didn't buy this for the matrix. Then you also get 2 extra fingers, I guess in case you break one or lose one. And then your instruction book / comic book. All right, so let's take a look at the figure itself. So one of the problems that sometimes happens with, highly articulated figures is that they can't, pull off a vanilla pose. For as much as we whine and complain that we want articulation, we also want our figures to be able to just stand, upright with their hands down, not spreading their legs, and look cool. And somehow, again, Mastermind Creations pulled this off. This is a very vanilla pose for a highly articulated robot. And he pulls it off. His arms aren't wonky. His legs are straight. His torso and everything is put together and it looks, fine. This is a vanilla pose that he is able to pull off immaculately. So let's take a look at his overall aesthetic. So, you got your big blue lower legs, just like any Optimus Prime or Orion Pax should have. You have a very shiny, not super shiny, but shiny enough silver paint, or I'm assuming that's paint, on his legs and torso, or his midsection here. You have some red plastic or red paint for the top, for his upper torso. Just very good looking figure. And then you can see it with the transformation. Look how good he cleans it up. Like there isn't any gaps or holes or hollow legs or hollow arms. Just so well done. Have a look at his head sculpt here. That is classic Optimus Prime / Orion Pax. So well done. These are removable, FYI. It's just spectacular. And I'm gonna put a picture up over here of a comparison of him in the comic book compared to this figure. And there's like 1 or 2 things that they couldn't do or decided not to do. But it's so close. Like it's really close to the comic book. Just an awesome job. Like I'm floored at how good this is. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to cover Optus Pexus Articulation. I'm telling you right now that I'm going to miss some stuff that he can do because he can do nearly everything. But I'm going to try to run through the basics and then some of the more, interesting things or out of the ordinary things he can do. But he literally can do nearly everything. Like, he's articulated like a Spider-Man figure. So the basic stuff, your head is on a ball joint and there is some neck tilt here with the neck. He can move side to side. He can look, even without the neck part, he can look way up. Or at least a little bit up, but then with the neck he can look way up. He can look down. If you're looking at arms, he has this joint here, which can get him up there, but you can also just use the joint inside the shoulder to get his arm out there. He is double jointed at the elbow, and that is a heck of a double joint for a Transformer. He has swivel here, and he also has swivel at the bicep. Then down here, your wrist is swivel and hinge. And then he also has articulated fingers, and I mean every single finger is articulated. And honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and say this now so I can get it over with. I would say that his hands are probably the weak spot per se. Not that they're bad, but they're a little bit skinny. Like, when you get it completely spread out, it doesn't look right. Like, it looks just too fingery, I guess. But it's very nice that every single finger is articulated. They probably didn't have to do that. But if you're gonna go with the most articulated Transformer ever, then I guess you can't stop at the hand. So looking at his torso, now here's where stuff gets really interesting. So at this joint under here, you can, and this is part of the transformation, there's this joint here that opens up. There's a tab in there where you can fit that in. But this gives him the range to be able to get an ab crunch. But that's not it. There is also a joint here, if I can get this thing to open up without overdoing it. There is a joint back here to give him even more torso tilt, torso twist, and torso bend. And this is why you can see him in some of his promotional pictures, like touching his toes and stuff, like doing crazy stuff, because, his ab crunch with that other joint is just ridiculous, to the point where he's able to do things that no other Transformer has ever been able to do. So, I mean, he's definitely the most articulated Transformer I've ever had. I don't know about anybody else, but I have a lot of Transformers. None of them can do this sort of stuff. We move down to the legs. He can go out real far. He can go back and forward real far. You have a thigh swivel here. You also have, and this is beautiful engineering, so I think I'll try to get into this more when we talk about his transformation, I guess, but there is a kind of, I don't even know what to call this. There's like a joint here that connects from his leg to his calf or shin part, and the way it's designed, it bends with his knee. So when you bend his knee, that piston bends with it, and that gives him a spectacular double jointed knee. Like, I've never seen anything like this. Not even close. And when you bend it back, it just goes right back into place. And you unhook that to turn him back into his truck mode. It's spectacular. Like, look at that. Are you serious? That's genius. Genius. As far as his foot goes, you have a little bit of toe articulation. You got the up and down. You got a little bit of swivel. You can pull this out more if you wanted to and get a little more swivel, but it's pretty standard. But yeah, this knee articulation is groundbreaking. I've never seen that before. Really? Wow. Okay, so after literally about 15 minutes of monkeying with this thing, I finally got it into some semblance of its truck mode. And I'm going to tell you right now, disclaimer, it is not completely transformed. There are pieces, parts not connected that I can't keep connected because I'm probably not doing it right. I'm just not very good at it, at least not yet. But this is a relatively good representation of what it will look like in truck mode, just cleaned up. Like I said, I'm not very good at transforming these things, especially when I first get them. When it came out the package, it was perfect. It was in this mode and it was perfect, but I cannot seem to get everything connected. It's not the usual Mastermind Creations easy transformation. It's a little bit challenging, especially for somebody like me. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other people that got it right on their transformation, but don't judge the toy off my bad transformation, because this is bad. Okay, let's move on. All right, so here we have the knockoff Voyager-sized MP10, which is my go-to usually for Optimus Prime in my videos. And then on this side, we have the Make Toy Striker Manus, who is a very futuristic / ancient Cybertronian, because they're kind of interchangeable, version of Optimus Prime, all decked out in all types of weapons. And then here we have him with the Masterpiece Prowl and Make Toys Downbeat or Jazz. All right, and then we have here the Generations Thrilling 30 Springer, who is my go-to Springer, and Mastermind Creations Impactor. All right, now we're moving into some of the bigger bots. You have Perfect Effects Warden, who is an IDW version of Fortress Maximus, and then the Titans Return Blaster. Skyfire, Orion Pax, and Ultra Magnus from Combiner Wars, Titans Return, one of those. Alright, and then last but not least, we have IDW Megatron or Tyrannotron, and you have Prime's right-hand man, Roller, who is also Mastermind Creations, and he is also based on IDW. So, what can I say? This Orion Pax, Optimus Prime, whatever you want to call him, Optus Pexus. This will probably be the best figure I get in 2021. I just don't see any other figure surpassing him for all of his attributes. Besides the look and the fact that it's the comic book representation of the character, the sculpt, the colors, the shininess, you go the articulation, which is spectacular. The accessories, I can't really find a whole lot of flaws with him. Like, the only thing I can even think of to even call a flaw is his fingers, which are a little bit too spindly. And like, somebody might say that he's over-engineered. He's really not. The fact that I can't transform him very good is my fault. Like, I've seen people be able to get him from robot to truck very easily and it looked very clean. When I took him out of the package, it was clean. That's on me. I just don't know what I'm doing. It ain't his fault. If you have any type of affinity for the IDW characters, it's a must own. You must have this. And you can still get him. It's not like it's sold out. It's better than what I'm making it out to be, which is not an exaggeration. All right. Enough of that. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.